This is a virtual public meeting. That's a PIM, they call it, public information meeting, regarding an application for a telecommunication tower on Cambridge Road in Woodville. PID number 55150-718. The applicant is Bell Mobility. It's file number 2122. It's November the 9th, 2021, 9 o'clock. I'm hosting the meeting. I'm the counselor for the area, Dick Jones, my name, District 3. And basically, it's a chance for the public to have input and also opportunity for the applicant to explain what they're planning on doing. So with that, I would turn it over to our planner, Mark Fredericks. We have also Wilder Hat from Bell Mobility and Peter Landers from Bell. So maybe we can begin, and our presentation will be from Jess Harper, and she's a planner with WSP staff with Bell. So maybe we can begin with our planner, Mark. I'll turn it over to you.
Thanks. Can everyone see that slide there?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Thanks, Councillor Killam. Yeah, so we do have a planning application from WSP on behalf of Bell Mobility, who have proposed a 75-meter telecommunications tower within the County of Kings. This is a self-support style tower, and it's located on Lot 1A in Woodville. This is a vacant lot adjacent to Cambridge Road and Highway 101, and we'll look at that in just a moment. And this is a relocated tower from an adjacent parcel that was considered just last year. So the meeting purpose here today is to inform the public of the application, share this video with the neighbors in the surrounding area, and to explain some of the planning policies and receive some preliminary feedback. The proposal here from Bell Mobility is to construct a 75-meter telecommunication tower. It's a self-support style, which is that kind of lattice framework style. And the intent of this, of course, would be to provide improved data and voice communications coverage in the Cambridge area. Oops, this is a map of the county. The property is located within this red circle here, just sort of north of Cambridge in the community of Woodville. And if we zoom in, this is where the proposed tower is located on this larger subject property. The proposed tower is located kind of north of 101. So this is Highway 101, and this is Cambridge Road. And the property is sort of just north of Highway 101 and just to the east of Cambridge Road. Surrounding this, of course, is a lot of agriculture. Certainly on the north side of the 101, there is a lot of agriculture in this area. There are some rural residential uses along Cambridge Road. But this location is relatively far from them and certainly does meet the setback requirements for the municipality. So again, this is a relocated tower. This had previously been considered on the parcel just adjacent to the north, right up here. But for geotechnical reasons, some of those sort of prevented the tower from kind of going there. So the applicants have negotiated a lease agreement with the same landowner in this case to build on the next property over. Which provides the similar kind of coverage, I guess, and then they'll speak to that in their presentation. Just a review of roles and jurisdiction. This is kind of a complicated consultation process in that it's not exactly a municipal decision, although municipalities can choose to have siting regulations and that help locate these towers in appropriate areas and offer a consultation period for the public. Before municipal council would give their support or non-support, but ultimately council's support or non-support is not the deciding factor in this case. It's really up to the federal government through the Innovation, Science and Economic Development Canada Department. They have the authority to approve or deny antenna sites, but municipalities do have the opportunity to create bylaws and regulations around siting these telecommunication towers. And the County of Kings does have a policy speaking to that, which outlines some setback requirements. So to get municipal approval, co-location must be investigated. So again, this is an effort to kind of minimize the number of total towers across the municipality. And usually these towers are able to accommodate multiple carriers. And it's expected that the Bell Mobility Tower would be open to other carriers mounting onto it, but they were not able to find an existing structure nearby to co-locate their equipment that provided the same kind of coverage area. And then those setbacks I spoke to, this is a 3 times the tower height from any existing residential dwelling or school or hospital. So in this case, a 75-meter tower times 3 is 225 meters. And the nearest home is approximately 320 meters. So the location of this relocated tower certainly meets the setback separation distance requirements for the municipality of Kings. But 3 times the height is, of course, unique to Kings County. Not every municipality has that kind of separation. In fact, sometimes they're right on top of a dwelling, on the top of a apartment building complex or something like that. So 3 times the tower height is unique to Kings County. The approval process is similar to other planning applications, although it looks primarily like a public consultation phase, which then goes to the planning committee. And they make a recommendation to council, and council considers it just one time. So in other planning considerations, council looks at it twice, they hold a public hearing. But in this case, council just looks at it once and looks at the public consultation that was gathered through this meeting and the remaining public consultation period following this meeting. So again, the meeting is sort of the beginning of the process. It's an opportunity for the public to submit questions or comments regarding this proposed tower or the kind of approval process. My contact information is here. I'm a planner with the County of Kings. Phone number and email address are on the screen, and certainly please feel free to reach out in either method for any kind of questions or comments. We'd be happy to either put you in touch with the applicants if it's a technical question, or look at setback requirements or other approval steps through the municipal approval process. So with that, I'll pass it back to the chair, and I will stop sharing this screen here.
Okay, so now we could move on to Jess Harper for her presentation, and maybe afterward. Mark, is there anyone else online that you know of from the public?
No, I don't think so. So they've been invited to view this meeting starting tomorrow, Councillor.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. So Jess, if you'd like.
Okay, can you guys see my screen?
Yeah,
Yes.
it's perfect.
Perfect. So as Mark had already mentioned, so we are here to discuss a new antenna tower in Cambridge. My name is Jess Harper, and I'm a senior planner with WSP, and I'm representing Bell Mobility for the public consultation for this proposed telecommunications tower. Also present on the line with me today, as the councillor mentioned, I do have Wilder and Peter, who are representatives from Bell Mobility. And so if there are any questions here, from the councillor Mark at the end of my presentation, they're happy to answer. Or, as Mark mentioned, throughout this process, if any members of the public have questions, you can reach out to Mark and he can get in touch with me and then me through Bell to get answers to any questions anybody might have. Okay, so here's a bit of an agenda just kind of as to what I'm going to be discussing this morning. Kind of going through the site selection process that Bell Mobility deals with, health and safety, the consultation process that we're following here under the Municipality of the County of Kings protocol, and then if there's any questions at the end, we're happy to answer. As Mark already mentioned, I do just want to note as well that on March 16th, just earlier this year, we did receive concurrence for the same 75 meters self-support telecommunication tower. It's approximately 160 meters north of the location that we're discussing today. And then again, as mentioned, due to geotechnical reasons, the site was unsuitable for the proposed tower. So we're back here again a year later, looking at the exact same design of the tower that we had looked at a year ago, just 160 meters south. So antenna and radio installations are federally regulated as mentioned, but they do require consultation with local communities. So ISED, Innovation, Science and Economic Development Canada, do require us to consult with the local land use authority, which in this case is the municipality of the County of Kings, as well as the public. The municipality have adopted antenna systems policies within their municipal planning strategy that help to dictate, I guess, where we do locate the towers, as mentioned, 3 times the tower height away from any residential units, hospitals, or schools. And then we do have just a few stats here that just, since 2008, the popularity of wireless technology has grown significantly in Canada. Nearly 70% of all 911 calls, for example, do come from mobile phones. So there are a lot of benefits also to wireless services. Communities, businesses, emergency services, they grow more dependent on wireless services. It's important to make sure that there's complete coverage over the road network for emergency services. And then we have a photo here that just kind of shows you with like today, like when you go to markets or even just when you go to different retail options, a lot of retail options are allowing you to pay through your phone. They have little adapters you can put on them that allow you to purchase. So it's making it so having high-speed internet and a reliable network is a necessity. So Bell's proposing to install a 75-meter tower north of 101 and south of Brooklyn Street on PID 551507118 as described. It's a 75-meter self-support antenna system. And I'll guess worth noting, just as we've already discussed, that this tower exceeds the 3 times the distance from any residential units, schools, or hospitals. So why is the tower located here? The quality of service in the Cambridge area does not currently meet Bell standards, the needs of local residents, business owners, and visitors to the Cambridge area. The goal is to improve the wireless service for the residents, visitors, and visitors within the municipality and the Cambridge area. The map here just shows the location as to where the tower is proposed. And again here, just pointing out, this is the zoning for the area. We are zoned in a rural mixed use under the land use bylaw. And the proposed tower will occupy approximately 2,100 square meters of leased space from the property owner. And it will be accessed through a proposed 20-meter access utility easement off of Cambridge Road. Here we have the coverage maps. These are identical to the ones that we would have seen a year ago, where the blue here denotes the very good coverage. You can see the difference here for the proposed tower location between what's existing and then what will happen afterward. And then green shows where we have good coverage, yellow, okay, then red, orange, where it's poor. And then anywhere you see the gray and white is the no coverage. So you can see the difference here. Mainly the blue is what you can see in the after as to where the coverage will be improved. So when Bell first look at selecting a site for network improvement, co-location, as mentioned on existing towers, is the first thing that is investigated. Now for this site, the existing towers within vicinity of the proposed location did not meet the requirements to improve call quality and coverage to Bell's network. So then Bell then has this list of criteria that kind of need to all line up in order for a site to work. A site simply cannot be this site meets the coverage and capacity requirements. There are other factors that have to be taken into consideration. For example, we have to take into the LUAs, Municipality of County of Kings, their policy that they have. So it was ensuring that our new tower was more than 3 times the tower height from houses. You also have to have a willing landlord. In many cases here, Bell do not own the land that these towers are placed, they lease them. So they have to find a landlord who is willing to lease the land to Bell to place the tower. As well, you also have to make sure that access to the tower, as maintenance over time is required. So you have to make sure all those things line up. The topography has to work, the land use context, environmental considerations, all this is taken into a place when Bell considers what sites to propose a tower on. This map here shows, you can see the larger light blue circle shows where our proposed site here is today that we're discussing. And then you can see the smaller ones show some alternative sites that looked at. Now, most of the ones that are close here to Cambridge Road, we can note that those ones didn't work, just for the simple reason they weren't more than 3 times the tower height from existing homes. And then the one that's just north there was the existing site that we talked about a year ago that unfortunately due to geotechnical reasons doesn't work. This is just a quick elevation to show you what the tower will look like. As mentioned, 75-meter self-support tower. And these next couple slides, we have some before and after with some photo simulation of what you will see when the tower actually is constructed. So this photo here is looking northeast from Highway 101. This photo here is looking southeast from Cambridge Road, showing you what the tower will look like. And this one is looking northwest from Highway 101. One of the main things that we do here and questions that we get regarding telecommunication towers is it safe? Now, the consensus among Canadian health organizations and the scientific community is that wireless antennas are safe. Shown on the slide here just are a couple of quotes that we have taken, that there's no convincing or consistent evidence that the weak RF signals from base stations cause adverse health effects. I do also want to note that Health Canada continuously monitors the RF signals to ensure the level of safety for all residents. This slide, I think, is very useful, and what it does is there's a illustration here, and what this does is it shows you what the Canadian limits are for RF energy with telecommunication towers. So all towers that Bell proposed are well below that limit. And now you can also see that there is a 50 times safety margin that is put into place before you even get to the threshold for potential health effects. So you can see here in Canada under the Safety Code 6 guidelines that we have to do, it ensures that all new towers are below that Canada's limit and well below where we have this 50 times safety margin. So the easiest answer is that yes, and telecommunication towers are safe. I have a few slides here just to kind of go through the consultation process that we've been following for this site. So our first step is that Bell proposed a site in accordance with the municipality's antenna system policies. We had some preliminary meetings and dialogue with Mark and with the municipality, and we submitted a plan as well as a package to outline what our proposal was. The second stage, which would have what we just completed, which is that on-site signage is required to be posted. So the signage that was posted from last year has been updated to reflect the consultation dates and the new application number. Mail-out notices were distributed, and newspaper advertisement was completed in advance to today's meeting. And this is the kind of the step 2 where we invite all the property owners as well as just residents of the municipality to the consultation process with any comments or questions they might have. So following today, as mentioned, this recording will be posted, and residents do have 30 days to reach out, to Mark with any comments or questions they have. And again, if they are for myself or Bell Mobility, then they can, through Mark, be arranged to myself, and we can get anybody any answers that they might have. So once this is all done, once the December 10th date comes and the comment period has closed, we will address throughout this whole comment period, throughout the whole process, any concerns that come in. And then if any comments were to come directly to myself or Bell Mobility, we would make sure those are shared with the municipality as part of the whole process. We then will submit a request for concurrence to the Municipality of Kings, which is us requesting our approval on the new proposed telecommunication tower. And so that's it. Bell is committed to working with the municipality of the County of Kings and the residents, and we welcome any comments and questions from the community in order to improve wireless service. And I guess just here, so Mark, I do have the email address and phone number if anyone wants to reach out to me myself directly. And it might have questions for Bell Mobility, you're happy to do so, or again, through Mark, and Mark can be in touch. And then we'll also hear right now if anyone does have any questions.
Thanks. Thank you, Jess. Mark, do you have any more comments that you'd like to make? Or?
I would just sort of say, comments that are received either through Bell or through the municipality are just kind of we just share those with each other. So, contact whoever. Certainly, you're welcome to contact me as a public employee. That's my job. So happy to accept those. But yeah, certainly, if Jess receives something from a member of the public, that we would be sharing that with the municipality and vice versa as well. So yeah, we just hope that people have the opportunity to view this recording and ask any questions if they have any. That's the whole point. So I hope it's well received, and thanks, Jess. Pass it back to you, Councillor.
Yes, thank you. I had one question that was brought to my attention, and I'm not sure which tower this was referring to, but when you consider the type of tower to go up, is that sometimes changed in design when it actually happens? That was brought to my attention. Now, I'm not sure. I don't know the background to this, but someone said to me that they had indicated that a certain design was going to be put up, but when it was actually put up, it was a different tower. And I don't know. I just wanted to maybe get an answer to that.
Peter Wilder, do you know if that is ever the case where we would propose a tower that has a certain design, then it'd be changed during construction?
It has certainly happened in the past, but it would not be typical, because nothing typically happens fast. Typically, what would be the case is that, for example, when we got approved for the other location, we went ahead with the plans, and as soon as we did the geotechnical, we realized that it would be too expensive to build in the location we'd selected. So there really wouldn't have been any other alternative that would have fit there. So basically, we went right back to scratch, and it would be pretty much the same with a tower design. If it didn't meet the original acceptance criteria in a case like this of getting approval, we would go back and go through the process again.
Right.
Typically we start from the beginning, go through the steps, find out what we want, where we can put it. If the lot is too small, it'll be a self-support like we've checked. Other times it'll be a guide tower, which can be a little bit taller. But typically, whatever we start with is what we build, or we start the process over.
If my memory is correct, the person that was talking with me was indicating another tower in that area that had got changed in midstream, and I'm not familiar with it. So
yeah, it's possible, but and I'm not sure what kind of what would you call it? Building permits would be required that you may have to update that.
Mm-hmm.
But typically we don't usually change without going back through the process all over again, because if you start out with a self-support and then go to guide, you're going to need much more land. Mm-hmm. So usually, and it can look different. I mean, sometimes the one that we selected there was a self-support tower. In other cases, you could use a monopole, but that would occur on a much shorter tower. Mm-hmm. So often towers look different somewhat than what people expect in terms of visibility. Maybe there's a microwave antenna on it or something. So it's a little hard to without looking at pictures to say exactly what happened.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Thank you. The other question I have to Mark, is it correct that the zoning on that particular piece is A2?
Yes, that's correct. Yeah.
Now, I was under the assumption that everything was A1, and I don't have an issue either way, but I just noticed it was an A2 designated there. Is that particularly for this kind of application, or is it for the?
We've considered applications in any zone. Usually with the 3 times the tower height, they're often driven outside of communities into the rural areas, and so they'll often end up in agricultural zones. That's a good question, and there are pros and cons to that. Obviously, there's some interruption in terms of farming capacity, but I think in most cases in the past few years, what we've seen is a real effort on part of Bell, Eastlink, other carriers to minimize that impact, and the type of tower selection is part of that. And these sort of self-support ones don't eat up a lot of land. There's a footprint that's leased, but there's often farming opportunities around the base, that minimizes the kind of land-based impact. But certainly it is within the policy of the County of Kings to accept tower applications in A1 agricultural zone, and certainly the A2 zone as well.
Yeah, I was just surprised to see it A2. I assumed it was A1, but anyway, for another day. And thank you everyone for your presentations. And I guess we can conclude the meeting, and hopefully there will be feedback of a positive nature, and move on from there.
Certainly. Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much.
And PAC will maybe deal with this in December, correct?
That's our hope. Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye.